Hi, I'm Bob Knote, and on this episode I'm going to give you a little insight as to what we're going to do in the upcoming second season of the Camp Xjs Chronicles. Dang it. Now, some of you that are subscribers have probably noticed that the video production is pretty much dried up for January, February, and the first half of March. Well, there's a good reason for that, and that is that we really kind of burned ourselves out last year getting 59 videos out in 9 months. That took a lot of time and effort and emotional and psychological capital, not to mention a fair amount of money. Old techs really kind of drove what happened last year, because that was just sort of a nightmare project that hopefully we won't get into ever again, because what that did is sort of took all these other projects that we had planned on doing last year and pushed them off into the future. Once you've said you're going to do something, you got to pretty much do it. And it took a long time for us to get old techs up and running and do the trips that we did with her. So once I get a cup of coffee here, let's go on out and take a look at some of the projects that we got planned for this year. It's a little nippy out here. It's 9 degrees below zero, so we're going to keep this brief. Now, first on the list is this, my 1987 Jaguar Xjs Track Car. Now, this car is one that hasn't actually been run for 2 years. It's one that I use for development for the different things that we offer on our website, and it's fact of the matter is this car with just a few additional safety things could actually be a pretty good vintage racer for the class that it's in, and that may be something that we want to take a look at for possibly next year. Now, it hasn't run, as I said, for the past couple of years, mainly because the last time I was out, the clutch rod bearing went out. We pulled the transmission apart and got all the parts that were necessary in order to make that good. But from that point on, we got busy with the business and doing the YouTube channel, and we just haven't had time to make this happen again. So this is the year, though, for this thing to get on track. Now, this lovely example of the automotive art is the Survivor 85er that we bought last fall. Really as a parts car, but got it home, and I really didn't have the heart to break it up. So what it needs is an engine, as far as I know, and we know how that goes with the old Texas XJS, but it's generally a pretty clean car, and I've got high hopes that this thing is going to be the anti-Tex. The goal is to get the engine in it, get it sorted out, so we can drive it down to Elkhart Lake for a vintage race the third week of July. So the engine's almost done the way it is, so that should be a real doable sort of a goal. So I'm pretty excited about this car. We're going to have to hang on to it for a couple of years because I've got a few things on the engine that are development sorts of things, and so we're going to have to put some miles on it, but after that, she's going on the block. Here we have two cars that we're going to be working on this year. This one right here is the 1990 Xjs Convertible that we took on the Black Hills road trip, which you can see in last year's videos. And as you can see, it still has the optional Gorilla top on it. That's going to be the main project with this car this year, getting a top on it, which will make it much more attractive and much more saleable should we decide to sell it this fall. It also has a automatic transmission hose that needs to be replaced, the hose that runs up to the cooler, and a couple other minor things. We're going to do a tune-up on it, but that's about all we're going to do with this car, and we're going to get it out and drive it this year a lot more than we did last year. This one right here is kind of special because this is a car that I bought in California one Thanksgiving when I flew out to see my kids, and just on the way out, I'd had enough of commercial aviation, so the first thing I did, I bought this car when I got to the hotel. So it's a 1994 Jaguar Xjs/XJ40. It's a car that I did a cylinder head gasket replacement on, and there's been a lot of little things wrong with the car, like the shifter doesn't work occasionally, the ABS doesn't work, the speedometer doesn't work. Just a number of things that we need to take care of before this thing can get on the road. I've got a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to fix that, but if that doesn't do it, we're going to work on this in a collaborative manner to get this car on the road before summer. So I'm kind of excited about that. It's a nice car. It can potentially be my favorite car. So let's go look at what's in the other garage. Now you remember this one. This is the 1978 XJ6 that we did a road test and took a little bit of a road trip last summer, and it's actually our most popular episode. So this car is really in pretty good shape as it is, except that we've got a little bit of a rust out in one of the footwells that we need to take care of, but we're not going to do that this year. It's not that big a deal. What we're going to really focus on this time is getting the cooling system to keep this thing cool on a warm day. If we can do that, that'll change how I use this car. That will mean that I can take this on a long road trip on a hot day without worrying about it. So I know I say that most of these cars are my favorite cars, but this one really is. So let's get back to the shop. We've got a couple we need to look at there. Well, we all remember this car, the Texas XJS, aka Old Tex. Now, Old Tex is a car that we got running last year on a shoestring, and it was a trial. It took from April to the first part of October to get the thing running. So it provided us with over half of our content last year, and we look to be doing some things with it again this year, although I hope it won't ruin my life like it did last year. So the things we need to do is we got a few leaks that we need to take care of. Nothing big there. Got a miss that we need to solve. That's just going to be basic ignition wire swap over. And we've got the air conditioning heating system that we got to figure out why it doesn't blow into the cabin. Other than that, this thing shows every sign of being a really good car. So we've got about 10,000 miles on it, and it hasn't left us stranded yet. Now, this project over here, the Champ car, is one that we're going to continue on with it this year, but it's probably, we've got to start focusing on what we've got going on right now already. This car, we're going to keep moving on it. This whole COVID thing sort of set us back a little bit. We're going to continue working with it as the resources become available to do it. And the whole plan is to, by the end of the summer, have the thing running on a track over by the Botec, which is across the field, on a track night. So that's the plan. But it's been a long time with this thing, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do, but we need to stay focused on what we can get done. Now that's what we see happening out here during the second season of the Camp Chaos Chronicles. You never know what's going to drop into your schedule that will upset the apple cart, sort of like Tex did last year, but we're going to try to keep that to a minimum. Interesting project comes along, we can do one episode on, we'll do that, but we're going to try to stick with this. Now, if you like what we do and you want to see more of these videos, it's really important that you subscribe, like us, put a few comments down below so we know how we're doing, and we'll see you the first week of April out here at the Camp Chaos Chronicles.